Hello, boys. This is White Pill, and this week we will not be discussing actor Max Wright, who played Willie Tanner on the hit TV show Alf, who was caught smoking crack with a homosexual prostitute. Instead, we will be discussing the films of George Romero, his 6 zombie films, his Dawn of the Living Dead film series. We will be discussing all 6 films here, but it's not going to be a breakdown of the plots and that type of thing. Instead, our focus will be on his social commentary. All of his movies are laced with social commentary, and my main focus will be looking at his films in the context of race, because that's a very large part of his commentary overall. In all of his films, it's relevant. I would say the last one, or perhaps the last 2, it's not the most relevant. It's more subdued. But definitely his earlier films, race is incredibly important and prevalent, so we will be talking about that. This video will be for audio listening rather than just visually watching. There will be some visuals. I'll mention if I have some important screenshot or whatever on the screen, or, hey, I'm going to try to play this clip. I don't know until I upload if YouTube's going to flag me for like 5 seconds of a film or not. So whether or not there are clips or not will depend on YouTube. But I like to keep those lighter just to be on the safe side. But I will point those out as they become relevant. So we have 6 movies to discuss. I have full spoilers for all of them. Do I recommend you watch these films? No. My introduction to George Romero was not from his movies at first. It was from Black Ops Zombies and from this map called The Dead. I don't know if you boys remember, but it's the winter one where there's the ship. You have the one boss zombie that you can't kill, but if you shoot him, he becomes enraged. And then if you bring him into the water, he calms down again, but he's just walking around the entire map. That's George Romero. Film director for a lot of zombie movies. That's what he's famous for. So that was my introduction to him. In a film class in college, we watched Night of the Living Dead. I did not like that movie there, and I did notice, to me, the film felt incredibly racial, which was intended, and it was not favorable towards white people. So I didn't care for it, but I put it out of my mind. Years have passed since I saw the original, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to watch and review all these. To clarify, I did watch all these films for free through piracy, so they did not get any of my money for this, but they did take my time. But I wanted to go through all of them, break them down, rip them apart. So that's what this video is, and that's what we're going to be doing. And we are just going to begin. So let's have at it. Do these films hold up? Are they classics? Should you watch them? Absolutely not. George Romero, he seems like he's a white man. I've looked into it. He seems like he is white. So that's a little shocking, but he hates white people overall, but he definitely hates white men. He has a bone to pick with capitalism, and he is not a friend. If you gave him the choice between pressing a button to kill all white people or to not kill all white people, he would press the button to kill all white people. Let's now get into film reviews. Okay, Night of the Living Dead. This came out in 1968. What's going on during this time period? Vietnam War, also the Civil Rights Movement. There's a lot of racial anxiety and racial anger within the United States, right? We open up with some suspenseful music. We have this car driving into a cemetery. We have an American flag on a grave. Again, the Vietnam War is going on during this time. He does show the American flag quite a bit. It's prevalent throughout all of his films, but in here, it's respectful. It's on a grave. But I'll talk about other portrayals of the flag as they appear. We have a brother and sister. They are here to visit the grave of their father who died long ago, and they just come once a year to do this. The brother chides his sister for praying. We have the shuffling man in the background who's ominous. The brother is teasing the sister. They're coming to get you, Barbara, which is a famous scene, right? And he's spooking her and chasing her around, but then the shuffling man appears and is attacking the sister. The brother gets involved. The man who attacked the sister was a zombie, and the zombie bites him, kills the brother. She runs off. She is trying to use the car to get out of there. The zombies aren't completely dumb in George Romero movies. They can sort of use tools. They can kind of remember their past lives, so it's able to use a rock to break her car window open. She's still running. She finds shelter in this farmhouse. There's this corpse upstairs, which freaks her out. She starts to move outside, and then there's some zombies out there, but this black man arrives and saves her. The black man's name is Ben, but George Romero, he sort of skimps on providing character names as characters appear. It's usually later in the film when what characters' names are, but his name is Ben. Ben is a take charge kind of man. He's calm, he's collected. He begins the process of fortifying the house. He removes a corpse so she doesn't have to see it. He is using fire to keep the zombies away, and yes, all the zombies are in fact white, but white pill, you say. We're in a rural area like this. It makes sense that the zombies probably are all white. That's true. But if we want to break down the scene symbolically, what is happening? We have Ben, our black man, who rescues our young white woman. He is keeping her in this house. They are fortifying this house being a place of... they are not a sexual couple, but they are a black man and a white woman. This is intentional. This might be a little bit of a stretch. I don't think it is really, but something from Southern culture. You would have KKK Klansmen burn crosses on black people's lawns to intimidate them, to make them fearful. Ben is using fire in this situation to keep white zombies away, to keep them from interfering with this interracial union which has sprung up within this house. Ben tells the girl that we have to work together. She has to help him. He's boarding up the house, and then eventually she starts to snap out of her shock, and she starts to help with the boarding up process. This girl has been saved. She has been saved from joining the zombie horde where she can be dead and have racial solidarity with the zombies, or she can board up this house and live in this interracial union, which might sound like a stretch, but definitely it's there, and I'll talk about this one article that was written. Boys, follow along with me. I know that maybe is a little stretch and I'm reaching, but I think there's evidence to support that. What happens at the start of the film? The siblings are visiting the grave of their father being a dead white patriarch, head of the household and all that, the progenitor. And we also have her brother, who would be the man of the house, right? He's taking control of the household because there's only women left, and he is also killed. Ben has supplanted the role of being the leading male, the patriarch of this union, of this household. She starts to take her clothes off. Ben stops her from doing so, but it's there. This white woman is starting to undress in front of this black man. She also gets a little hysterical and she slaps Ben. Ben slaps her back. She faints, and then he picks her up and sets her down on the couch. I don't know when the first interracial slapping happened where a black actor slapped a white actor. It might be In the Heat of the Night with Sidney Poitier, or it might be here, but this was definitely very early. This was boundary pushing for a black man to slap a white woman. Ben unbuttons her coat so she's not so warm, but yes, we are trying to invoke something here with this black man unbuttoning her coat, taking clothing off of her. Ben then goes outside and uses some more fire to get the white racial horde to back off from the house. He finds a gun. He puts shoes on her. Two white men burst in from downstairs. They were in the cellar. They heard her screaming, but they stayed down there and refused to come up to help. How are white men portrayed in this movie? They're dead, or they're cowardly, or like the brother that was portrayed earlier, he was ineffective in saving and rescuing his sister. Yes, technically his sister did get away, but he was killed in the process. Ben is none of those things. He's not a coward. He's cool and collected. He's able to save and protect the woman. The older of the two white men, he is not good looking. He is balding. He's just kind of pudgy, and he doesn't cut an attractive figure, right? Our younger white man is just more subservient. He's not really a take charge kind of guy. He's not a bad guy, but he's a follower, not a leader. Ben is a leader. The older of the two insists that the cellar is safest, and they just want to go down there and board it up and just wait out all this nonsense, but Ben won't have it. The young white guy decides to help Ben with fortifying the upstairs and staying up there. The old white man says that he wants to take the white girl with them downstairs into the cellar. He talks about his rights. Ben calls his rights stupid, says that he's the boss up here, and the older white guy boards himself down in the basement. He failed to remove the young white woman from Ben's domain. So within this house, again, we were keeping the white zombie horde away from this interracial union. And then within the house itself, coming up from the basement, from this degraded low position, two white men appear. They are cowards. They are weak. The older white man tries to take the white woman and bring her down with the other whites. The black man won't have it. He's the boss here. Attempted forced segregation within the house itself is not working. And there's nothing this old man, this relic of the past, can do about it. And downstairs, the older guy, his wife, admonishes him for his cowardice. The wife says it's important for her husband that he's right and everyone else is wrong. Cooper is the name of the older white guy, and he's doing nothing to help anybody. Cooper still doesn't even really help, even though his wife has forced them to go upstairs and to intermingle with the rest of the household. Everyone else involved is working towards an escape, but Cooper is still not really doing anything. Their plan is to take the truck to this little gas pump on the property, fill it up, and then they're going to try to drive out of here and go get some help. Cooper does do something. He is tossing Molotov cocktails from the upstairs window, and it seems fine with first. We have Ben with the gun. The younger white guy, I forget his name, but his girlfriend wife runs out to join them at the truck. They make it to the pump. As they're pursued by zombies, there's an accident at the pump. The truck catches fire and the white couple is killed. Cooper leaves Ben outside when Cooper had promised to open the door if they were going to rush back to the house. Ben forces his way back into the house, and then Ben beats Cooper. Their young girl, because Cooper and his wife, they have a daughter, but their daughter had taken ill. Their daughter is ill because she was bit by a zombie, and she's down in the basement. We also have the TV playing, and there are some white militia groups that have formed around. They're being led by a sheriff, and they're just forming they're just going through areas and just sweeping through with guns, and they're just killing all the zombies that they find. Cooper wants Ben's gun. He wants the black man's power, his phallic symbol, but Ben's not willing to give it up. Zombies attack. Cooper's wife helps Ben defend the house. The black man calls for help, and Cooper ends up taking the gun. Cooper's wife does nothing as Ben kills the last white man in the house. She actually kind of condones it. She's okay with it. She's watching it, and she's doing nothing to prevent her husband from being killed here. Barbara also tries to help. The zombie little girl of Cooper down in the basement. Cooper ends up falling down there, eats her dad. The white child is killing her parents. She also kills her mother. Very subtle. And then Johnny, who was Barbara's brother, is a zombie, and he's now in the house and kills Barbara. Ben ends up retreating to the cellar. He gets to kill Cooper again, shoots him a few times too. Then the wife as well. Zombies are banging on the cellar door, but they're not able to get through down here. Was Cooper correct? Could they have survived in the cellar if Ben had just listened to him? Again, maybe our guys would interpret the movie that way, but that is absolutely not the message that George Romero was going for. That's not really relevant, and I don't think it would probably work. The zombies would have probably just forced their way down there and killed them. They're probably just a little confused with all the killing and blood, so that's why they're not just breaking the door down immediately. Morning comes, the humans have it under control, those white militia groups are moving through and killing all the zombies. The black man is in fact the only one to survive at first. But as they're approaching the old house where Ben is hiding in, he's looking through a window out at them. The whites think that there's some zombies inside, so they take aim and they end up shooting and killing Ben. Very deliberate. And then we have this little montage of whites dragging Ben's corpse. They use hooks to drag his body, and it's very humanizing. It's supposed to invoke racial violence, racial conflict, the civil rights, and brutalization and such. You would think Ben could make it, but no, Ben is in fact not allowed to make it. He must be killed by the end of the film. But talking about race, all the white men here suck. They are ineffective, or they're subservient, or they're cowards. None of them are good. The white women are, I guess you could call them race traitors, or they all submit to Ben's authority and his viewpoints. Yes, race is incredibly intentional. I actually have an article that I'm going to be covering right now. I will have a link to it down below in the description, so check that out if you want. Originally, this film was written with Ben being a white character, but they decided to go with a black actor for the role. There are some claims that George Romero and some of the people involved had no idea that it was going to be like super racial. That's complete bullshit. This was absolutely intended to be this way. They knew what they were doing. They were trying to push people's buttons and to be subversive. And it was incredibly subversive. But when people talk about George Romero, they talk about like, oh, these great zombie movies. I don't think they're very good films, and they're absolutely laced with fuck whitey propaganda. This is from an article in 2010. This is from Russ Striner. He says Ben's blackness also lent greater tension to his relationship with the alternately comatose and hysterical Barbara. As he admits, we knew that there would probably be a bit of controversy just from the fact that an African-American man and a white woman are holed up in a farmhouse. When Barbara claws at her clothes, citing the house's unbearable heat, the scene suggests a subtext of sexual repression and fear, John Russo points out, and then she falls into his arms. And I know that a lot of the bigots in this country are going to be thinking, oh my God, now what's he going to do? He's got this white woman in his arms and lays her down on the couch, and he unfastens her coat, and so I was aware that it might have those kinds of vibes. Yes, it did in fact have those kinds of vibes. And the movie sort of falls into that vein of, I guess, blaxploitation. I've never really seen those films, but black rage. Yes, black rage is a very common theme in George Romero's movies. Yes, it is. But does a presence of a character of being a particular race really matter, White Pill? Are you making a mountain out of a molehill? Yes, representation matters. Ben being black is hugely important, and it is a part of political commentary, and especially if you look at Ben in comparison to all the white characters. Now, if Ben was white and all the other characters were also white, then it's just a little zombie movie, right? But yes, the changing of that character's race is hugely important and completely changes the tone of the film. We are now on to Dawn of the Dead. This came out in 1978, so 10 years from the last movie. We open up in a news station. Everyone is panicking in here. We have black man who is, I suppose, a reporter or a newscaster, and he is fighting with this white doctor on TV. They're talking about humans losing this conflict against the zombies. This white producer that's trying to screw with the broadcast. The black guy calls the producer a fucking idiot. The white doctor who is being filmed is a voice for the government and is very unpopular. He's being booed by everyone in the studio. We then cut to SWAT assaulting the projects. We have some blonde white guys that really want to kill all the Puerto Rican and nigger asses. They talk about them having nicer places than them. I'll try to play this clip.
Blow all their asses off, low-life bastards. Blow all their low-life little Puerto Rican and nigger asses right off.
You're Rod, right?
Rod Tucker.
How the hell come we stick these low-life bastards in these big-ass fancy hotels anyway? Shit, man, this is better than I got.
So we're at these projects, we're assaulting them because the government is moving all people into safer areas that they can control to keep zombies out. These people don't want to leave the projects to comply. To us, boys, to us, the government would be completely justified in forcibly moving these people to prevent, so these people don't get cut off and then they get infected by zombies. Now there's even more undead to worry about. It makes sense, but again, these films are more for the political commentary rather than for the logistics of this. The important thing is SWAT is assaulting this non-white housing complex. That's what matters. They're trying to negotiate, not really. They really want to kill everyone inside. Some non-whites, it's like blacks, Mexicans, Puerto Ricans. There's maybe a white person or two in the crowd, but they burst out of this door. They start shooting. The non-whites actually shoot first. They kill the blonde white guy. I was talking about killing everyone. We have this little gun battle. The SWAT is 99.9% white. The residents here are mostly non-white. We have this fat, white, racist who is just crude and nasty, and he is just shooting and killing innocent non-white people in the apartment complex. We then have this black SWAT man kill the fat racist guy. There is then a tense standoff between the black SWAT man and the other officers, but no more shooting happens. We literally have black zombies rising up. We have one white guy commit suicide. It's not subtle, right? We have these non-white zombies fighting back against the government, against the man, against the white man specifically. Down in the basement, we have a shorter white SWAT officer, the black SWAT officer. They're down there. It's tense for a moment. They have guns pointed at each other, but they back off. They talk a bit about running and just making a break for it, getting away from SWAT. We have a black priest in the basement. He might be like Dominican or Puerto Rican or something. I don't care. He says, "You are stronger than us, but soon I think they'll be stronger than you." Very subtle. Very, very subtle here. Wow. Does he mean the zombies? Or does he mean like the non-whites are going to rise up and kill the white people? I don't know what he means.
You are stronger than us. Well, soon I think they be stronger than you.
Black zombies are overwhelming the men. Also, so one of the women from the newscaster segment at the start of the film, she's at this helicopter. There's a helicopter pilot here who is her boyfriend, and they're preparing for takeoff. They're waiting for, I think the SWAT guy, the smaller blonde SWAT guy, is her brother, or the SWAT guy is the brother of the helicopter pilot. But then some white people dressed up as cops. There's a lot of cop prejudice in these films, but yes, some white people dressed up as cops show up and they rob the helicopter people. They don't steal the helicopter, they just steal some supplies, and there's a bit of the standoff, but the arrival of the SWAT guys ends the standoff and the white people dressed as cops just go away. We then board the helicopter. They're talking about stuff that they're leaving behind. She talks about leaving behind an ex-husband. The black guy says he's leaving behind some brothers. And me, before she said it, was wondering, do you mean racial brothers or like actual biological brothers? And she asks, real or street brothers? He says both, because they're all brothers, right? And white people don't have that. But yes, black people have brothers. There's this racial solidarity with them. He talks a little more about his family, this duality of blacks. He has two brothers, one is in jail, and one is a pro football player. They are flying above it all. We have this little scene with some white rural people. Some people might refer to them as rednecks. They talk about these rednecks are probably enjoying it all. We have some banjo music playing, and the white rural people are treating this like it's a shootout and it's fun to be had.
Those rednecks are probably enjoying the whole thing.
Don't believe in overworking, and I never treat.
As antagonistic as we are towards police officers, we are also incredibly antagonistic towards white rural people. George Romero especially hates them. They have to land because they need to try to get some fuel, and as they land, they're also searching for some supplies. The pilot gets attacked. The white blonde woman isn't useful in helping him fight off this zombie, which I guess makes sense, but still like frustrating to watch. This is the scene that I think made me the angriest, and I felt it was the most egregious. It occurs 29 minutes, 51 seconds into the film. Our black guy is in this little office at the airfield. He is like trying to get some coffee, and then two white, blonde, zombie children burst through this door and try to kill him. And of course this exists. And he kills them. He is the killer of white children, and especially white blonde children. And this is relevant. There's another point to this later on, but this film is especially antagonistic towards white people in general, but white fertility and white children especially. White children are something to be killed. And he feels bad as he does it, but, your average normie NPC watching this just thinks, well, yeah, he had to kill the kids. The kids were zombies. They were going to bite him. That's true, but what is George Romero really saying here? And yeah, he feels bad, but are we ever going to shoot any non-white zombie kids in this film? Spoiler alert, we don't. We only kill white kids in this film. That's intentional. Ben being black in the first film is intentional. Killing white zombie children in this film is intentional. It's this act of taking this noble and beautiful thing and destroying it and corrupting it. George Romero knew that he would upset people by having white children being killed by a black man. He knew it'd be upsetting. He knew what he was doing. He's a nasty little propagandist and race baiter, and anyone that likes him, fuck off. Our pilot, Flyboy, is also a terrible shot with his gun. He is emasculated twice, and he accidentally points his gun at the black guy because he's trying to kill zombies that are trying to attack the black guy. The black man points the gun at him, and Flyboy was just trying to save him. I get it that it was wrong what he was doing, and he shouldn't have pointed a gun anywhere near him, but he was trying to save him, but he was a bad shot. But the point is, yes, this white man is a bad shot. He is emasculated, and yes, that is important. And now we arrive at our setting, our piece de resistance. We are at the mall, the bastion of white culture and capitalism. This is where we will spend the remainder of our film. We're at this mall. There are a bunch of zombies around. They question, why do zombies come here? Memory. They say it's an important place in their lives. And the mall looks very nice. It's nicer than any mall I knew growing up. And I'll talk more about the attack on capitalism and that towards the end. But yes, these white zombies walking around this mall, supposed to represent mindless consumers and how terrible that is. They decided that they're going to camp out at the mall now. It seems relatively safe. They are up and away from the zombies down below in the mall. They're in some offices. They have some food. They can rest there, and things are kind of decent. It also has power. They talk about, maybe it's supplied by a nuclear power plant. I'm not sure how long this would last in a zombie apocalypse or whatever, but probably, I don't know, maybe a few decades or something. You could maybe have power running, or a few years, I guess. I don't know how much you have to like really tend to a core before, it explodes, or maybe it wouldn't explode. It would just kind of deactivate. Another thing to point out, we have Peters. Peters is our black SWAT officer, and then we have our white SWAT officer. Peters is a giant compared to the white SWAT officer. He is incredibly tall compared to, all the white people, but especially towards his SWAT counterpart. This is also intentional. So I'll have a comparison of them up on the screen for a little bit. They decide that they're going to explore the mall a little bit and try to get some supplies. There are a lot of white zombies just wandering in the mall. The non-white zombies, earlier in the film, in the housing projects, they were fighting to survive. They were against white police officers. Oh, and I think I forgot to mention this, but in the housing project, they kept a lot of zombies down in the basement, just like cornered off in this little fenced-in area, and they did this, they say, because they respect their dead. So again, the non-white zombies are more noble. There's a culture there, a spirituality to them. For our white zombies, they are wandering around this mall, wishing to purchase things, but they can't purchase things because they're dead, but they will still wander around here. So yes, there is a direct comparison to be made between them. They turn on some mall music, and the white zombies are goofy. They are to be mocked. They are still violent and deadly and a threat, and they must be killed. We have to kill all the white zombies, but they are not given the level of respect and the solemnness that the non-white zombies had. We also have the zombie in this fountain. He's taking coins out of the fountain. Steven is the name of the pilot, the flyboy. He decides to come help them because he hears some gunshots and thinks that they're in trouble. A zombie ends up stealing a gun. It doesn't end up using it, but it sort of knows to like pick it up. The guys are excited to do a shopping spree. Oh, and Steven is just like trapped in these like back industrial rooms at the moment. He keeps shooting and missing zombies back here, even though the zombies are not very far away. He's just that terrible of a shot. He still can't kill a single zombie at close range. And yes, in fact, a zombie that almost kills him is a white zombie that's a cop. He does manage to kill this one. Will he be respected by the end? Will he be given a strong character arc? Not really. Spoilers, but we'll get to that. Steven ends up running into the other guys. He aims a gun at Peters again. Peters ends up saving him from some zombies. So why is Steven aiming his gun at Peters, the black man? He's done it twice now. I suppose to highlight racial tensions at this time. It's the 1970s. Has there ever been like good racial tensions between whites and blacks? Probably not, but it's definitely gotten more violent and more charged. But yes, I think we're highlighting that. The three of them are now trapped in the store by some zombies. There are some advertisements being played over the intercom. Steven ends up finding a passage in this elevator shaft so they can go up and above the zombies. He has finally done something right, so he's not constantly humiliated and emasculated. While this is going on, there's a zombie that's trying to get at and kill the woman. The zombie doing this is a Hare Krishna. It's this weird, I think it's like an Indian cult or like East Asian cult that some like white people started adopting during this time period. I don't know why specifically it's a Hare Krishna. Perhaps it's supposed to be a white person with this fake identity, right? So again, it's just something more to mock. It's a Hare Krishna. I don't know. The boys end up arriving. They save her. Flyboy is told not to shoot, but he keeps trying. He keeps trying to be masculine. And our woman here ends up revealing that she is pregnant. And Peters, our black man, asks if they want to abort their white baby. He knows how to do it.
You want to get rid of it? Huh? Do you want to abort it? It's not too late, and I know how.
It's disgusting. He already shot those white kids white kids in or out of the womb are to be killed. They are to be aborted. The couple ends up asking each other if they want to abort. They decide not to. A black man is willing to kill this white child in the womb. Very nice, very subtle. We have some white zombies shopping. They're also on this hockey rink, a very white sport. We're also pushing a feminist message. He doesn't want to be treated different, so he ends up giving her his gun. And their plan is to make the mall more secure. There are some semi-trucks nearby, so they're going to go over there and use semi-trucks and park them in front of the entrances so that it'll be more difficult for the zombies to get through. Roger, that's the name of the little white SWAT guy. He likes killing now. He's a little crazy. He's a little off kilter. Peters is not. He is calm. He is collected. He's a good shot. He's a good leader. The white guys are not doing well. He is doing well. Steven is above in the helicopter doing reconnaissance and providing line of sight for people. And our woman is up on the rooftop with a rifle, and she is a great shot. Just off the bat, she's really good at shooting. Has she ever held a fucking gun before? Flyboy sucked. Her husband was terrible, but first time she's held a gun, as far as we know, she's amazing at it. Roger is frantic after some zombies almost get him, and Peters is this force for calm collectiveness. Roger ends up getting bit. She is nailing headshots. We have the zombie with a gun in the crowd. They need some ammo, so they jump into a gun store. Peters, our black man, is holding this gun while African tribal music plays. He says that we're coming and we're ready. Is he coming for the zombies or is he coming for white people? Are we getting ready for the race war?
Don't just wait out there, sissies. We're coming and we're ready.
Now that the entrances are secure, they still have a ton of zombies that they need to get rid of within the mall. So they are working on that. Flyboy fumbles with the keys, ends up dropping them. They have this car and they're just running around shooting. They're locking the main doors. It seems like they have it all secure now. All the doors are locked, so it'll be very difficult for the zombies. They'll have to crawl and get down under the semi-trucks to get to the door, and then the doors are locked, and this is very strong glass, so they're probably not going to destroy it. And they clear out all the zombies, so now they have this entire mall to themselves. They make this little false wall to hide the staircase, which is where they were at the start when they landed in the mall. It's a more secure, office space. Fran, that's the name of the woman, she is throwing up at this time. She has morning sickness. They are collecting all the bodies now. They're putting them into freezers. They are dressing up, buying whatever they want. This montage of them playing arcade games. They all have fur coats now. There's a question of what are they? Us? Zombies are still coming to the mall. The zombies want the mall. Peters says that his grandpa was a voodoo priest. I'm not sure why that's in there. I guess, black power or something. I don't know. Or black culture, right? Because whites don't really display any culture or religion in this film. But Peters has it a little bit, I guess. They have a TV up and running. It's debating dropping nukes in areas to kill the zombies. This white scientist on TV states that we must be logical during this time. So we're still in the Cold War. There's all this talk about going nuclear with Russia and causing World War III or just the end of the world. And I'm sure during this time you had a lot of people on TV just saying, well, just be logical. They're not going to fire because then we would fire, and it's a no-win situation for either party. But of course, humans aren't just pure logic. They're emotional. So we're playing into that. Roger died of his zombie bites and he was becoming a zombie. So Peters has to kill him. And then later on, we have Peters serving this very nice dinner to Fran and to Steven. Now that the mall has been cleared out, now that the danger has passed and they're secure, we have this nice white couple dressed up like any middle-class white family, and they're being served by a black man, a black waiter. We've kind of reverted to how things were on the outside. We're making a little bit of commentary here. Steven made a gift to Fran of some wedding rings, and she rejects his gift of wedding rings. So I guess that's a little attack on the institution of marriage, or whatever. She says that, well, it won't count or matter now because the world's over. I did question at this point, how is there possibly 40 minutes left in the film? What are we doing? All the zombies are dead. What's going on? They've now built a fully furnished home within the mall here. It's just the inside of a suburban household. Fran gets all dolled up. They are drinking, playing cards, domestic life. What have we done to ourselves? Suburbia, capitalism, it's so awful. It's this prison, this trap. I have complaints about suburbia and capitalism, mind you, but not like George Romero has complaints about just white people existing. We have new antagonists. We have some white bandits observing the mall. All of the raiders are white. Shocking, I know. There's maybe one or two Mexicans that are Hispanic looking, some sort of mestizo. And the raiders decide that they're going to attack the mall, and by attacking the mall, they're also going to end up letting zombies in, but they're just here to steal what they can. Dumb and very charged commentary that's just not very good or insightful. They're riding through the mall on motorcycles. They're just crazy white people. They're just shooting it up, looting everything. 3 of them hold down and rob a black zombie woman of her jewelry. Because as you know, as typical before the zombie apocalypse, the situation was that white people would go around and rob black women of their jewelry, and black youths would never rob a white woman of her jewelry. That has never happened before, and that's certainly not more common than whites robbing black women. That doesn't occur. They're just acting like clowns. They're stealing zombies' wallets. We have one black raider at the bank who is just stealing some money. So yes, we do have a singular black raider that is shown, but he's not like the other ones. He's just stealing some cash. So he is also put in a little bit of a different camp from the other guys here. Steven is very angry and he's very defensive of the mall. He says that it's theirs and they can't just let them do this. So he starts shooting at the raiders. He has ruined it all again, because if they had done nothing and not made their presence known, the raiders would have eventually left in time, repair the damage that's done, fix the entrances, get rid of the zombies again. But because of capitalism or whatever, we have to defend what's theirs, even though there's basically a 0% chance of them defeating and killing all these raiders. Some of the raiders decapitate a zombie kid. The zombie kid is also white. We're smashing TVs, just mindless destruction. One of the raiders says, "I see you, chocolate man." Steven ends up getting stuck in this elevator. Peters is doing all the killing here. I don't think Steven managed to kill any of them. He's still a loser. This is the end of the film, and Steven is still a loser. The raid is over. The convoy pulls out, but some of the raiders end up being left behind and eaten by zombies. Flyboy is killed in the elevator. He got bit too many times. Peters goes back and he's holding Fran. Now she's for him. Yes. Now Fran and Peters can begin this interracial union together. That can happen, can't it? Now there's no obstacle between them. We have this music kick in that I just have to play here. I don't care if it's copyright, but it's good in showing just how fucking hateful George Romero is. Zombies just want to buy things. Flyboy is now a zombie now. He's holding a gun. Is he going to point the gun at Peters again? Peters decides he doesn't want to go with Fran in the helicopter. He just wants to stay here and die. He is still the last male left alive. The zombies are coming for them. She is on the helicopter. Peters decides not to kill himself, but to die fighting, and then actually decides he wants to live and to run for it, and he's going to the helicopter. He barely makes it on, and it's a happy ending. Yes, Fran is pregnant, and yes, she will give birth to a white child, but once that's over, it's just her and Peters. So could we infer, could we assume that they would begin this interracial couple? I know George Romero didn't show it happening on screen, but I think that's what we're pushing, and that's what we're inferring. Just like in the first film, we had a little subtext and a little wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Aren't whites just awful? What did we learn today, kids? White people are bad? Yes. Capitalism is bad? Yes. Feminism is good? Yes. Black people are good? Yes. Abortion is good? Yes. Who ruins malls? White people. As many of you will know, in the Western world, malls became shitholes because of high prices, but also urban youths forming gangs and just harassing people. Urban youths, what I mean by that is like English gangs, French gangs, those Danish, a lot of German gangs. That's what happened to actually my local mall. This German gang moved in. They were just harassing people, robbing stores, and the cops wouldn't really do anything about it, so people just stopped going and the mall shut down. Yeah, that's pretty common. They're the ones that make malls so unsafe, after all, and steal the most, too. So especially with that little music montage, but yeah, the white zombies, there's that one like hugely obese one in the background, and they're goofy. They're to be mocked and to be held in contempt. They're not fighting back against the man. They don't stand for anything except for mindless consumerism. And look, I have complaints against mindless consumerism. You'll never find happiness at the bottom of a gacha game or by buying worthless plastic shit from China. All of that is true. I agree with that fully. People still need to buy shit to live. It's not a bad thing to have possessions and to have, decent quality stuff and then pass that on to your children. So if that's capitalism, then okay. But yeah, I do have criticisms of it. Like if a bunch of rich billionaires got together, which BlackRock is kind of doing, and they bought all of the housing in America, and now the average person cannot own their own home. They can only rent, and they will only ever rent, and rent just increases and increases and increases. I'm against that. I'm against just a free market and unfiltered capitalism. That's obviously not good for the average person like me, despite what technocrats will try to preach. But I'm not a fucking communist that thinks that people shouldn't own private property and, I don't know, we'll all live in massive concrete apartment blocks and it'll just be a hellscape. That also doesn't sound good. Film is ultimately a fuck you to white people, very aggressive and violent towards white children and white fertility. That's at the forefront of the film. But capitalism, white people bad, white people to be mocked. The creation of this film, and especially that mall scene with the music, George Romero really fucking hates white people. I don't know how he got memed as like, this is the great director, this is the awesome zombie director. He's a piece of shit. Leaving that alone, we will now move on. Day of the Dead, 1985. We open up with a woman alone in a white concrete room. She has this nightmare of zombies bursting out of the wall and attacking and killing her. We are in this helicopter in Florida. We have this woman with a gun. She is the woman who had the nightmare. They are looking for anyone. They are calling out to people with a megaphone. Their calls just attract zombies. They end up flying away because there are no living people around here. When they return to their base, the zombies are at their fence and excited. Our pilot was a black man. We had one white guy who is drunk, and he is good electronics expert, I guess. And then we had a Hispanic guy who was along as well. At first, I thought she was the leader of them. She was in a position of authority in that she was kind of calling the shots when they were looking for people, but she's in fact not in charge here. We go down below into this base, and there are some more army men down here, and there's this job to do with clearing out this tunnel area, and there's these two belligerent, obnoxious white guys that really want to force this Hispanic guy who's not doing very well. He's pretty shaken up and is just not handling the situation well. But the white woman says that she'll go with them to do tunnel duty, and the Hispanic guy also tags along. The zombies seem to be hesitant to approach this little wall they have that's stretched across the mouth of the tunnel. She questions if they're actually learning to avoid it because they know bad things happen to them if zombies wander too close, but they're trying to bait the zombies over here. They are catching zombies here, and then they're using a little pole to rope it around their neck. The Hispanic guy can't handle the pole and drops it, and one of the white guys almost ends up getting killed, and it's a very tense situation, but the situation ends with no one dead, and they end up chaining the zombies up to a wall in this lab. Miguel is the name of the Hispanic soldier, and Miguel and the white doctor are in fact in a interracial relationship. We hinted at it in the first two films, and now in the third film we can have that. He ends up slapping her because she keeps trying to get him to sleep, to take a sedative, to calm down, and she holds him, gives him a sedative still, and she is an advocate for Miguel. The army guys are not pleased with this. They are very antagonistic towards Miguel, but she still defends him. They talk about cutting off his extracurricular activity, building him a cage and keeping him in it. So they're attacking their relationship, and yes, more specifically, this interracial relationship. These white men want to destroy it. Yeah, we have finally moved to having interracial relationships in these films. They have a doctor they call Dr. Frankenstein here. He wants to try to domesticate the zombies, to tame them, to control them, to get them to behave so that humans can live amongst them because there's very few humans left now. The former leader of the army guys has died, and our new leader has totally lost it. He's very unstable and is threatening to shoot people. He threatens to shoot the white doctor lady when she wants to leave this meeting that they're holding. The Dr. Frankenstein shows up, says that we're in the minority now. I guess perhaps referring to whites overall in comparison to non-whites, but that's always been true. Whites have never been the majority of the planet. And Doc talks about getting them to behave, I guess to force white people to accept the new circumstances of being a minority and just accepting it. Our female doctor ends up visiting the black helicopter pilot and the drunk white guy. They live outside of the housing with the rest of the guys underground. They're still underground, but they have their own little living situation set up. They don't really say anything about it, but I believe that it's implied and supposed to be a wink, nudge, nudge, that they are gay. It could be that these two guys just like living out here by themselves, and there's nothing gay about that. But knowing George Romero, I do in fact believe that he's trying to imply that this is a homosexual relationship. And they have a very nice house in comparison to what the other guys are. The army guys were all fighting and wrestling in the hallway. It's very chaotic and ugly. But here, in this interracial implied homosexual relationship, it's peaceful and nice. It's almost like a little slice of suburbia. Dr. Frankenstein has one zombie that he's really trying to train. He gives the zombie a razor and it mimics using it. Like it sort of remembers what you're supposed to do with it. It tries to read a book, to use a phone. It almost speaks. It salutes the leader of the army guys when he arrives, and then when given a gun with no bullets, he points it at the captain. Frankenstein insists that civility must be rewarded, and what is the most civilized living situation in this bunker? It is the black and white gay couple living on the edge of civilization. They have the most civilized dwelling down here by far, and this must be rewarded. White men are destructive, they're obnoxious, they're also violent and unstable, of course. They're trying to gather more zombies from the cave area. One of the zombies ends up getting free. The Hispanic guy ends up dropping the pole. The Hispanic guy screwed up, and he got one of the white army guys killed. The guy that's dying ends up shooting his gun and killing another zombie, bites Miguel. She cuts Miguel's bitten arm off. Miguel ran towards the two guys. He ran towards civilization, right? He ran away from the white guys towards civilization. The army guys pursue them. There's this standoff between the army and our feminist stand-in, interracial gay couple, and our Hispanic guy. The captain doesn't want Miguel in the complex and agrees to let him be kept out here. They think that Miguel is going to die and turn into a zombie because even though they cut the arm off, they think it's just too late. He was bit. It's over. In civilization, we have minorities. Women are an absolute minority here. There's only one woman, and this is the bastion of civilization. White men are not the creators or the maintainers of civilization. Of course, if you know your history, you just know that's a fact. The black pilot comforts her once the army men leave. They find a recording of the doctor. The doctor is very crazy, and he's like talking to his mother. Also gives the zombie music. The zombie touches the doctor. It's non-violent towards the doctor. He gives the zombie some headphones and plays some opera music for it. Gets it to play the recorder itself. It knows what button to press to make the music happen. The reward is a bucket of flesh. That's what he's been giving them to get them to behave. It's been human flesh. Soldiers end up showing up and they end up killing Dr. Frankenstein. Captain says, "Get your black ass out of here," to the pilot. Oh, I forgot to mention this character, but there is another doctor who's a weak white man scientist. He is shot. He's not a bad person or anything. He's friendly towards our white female doctor, but he's also not masculine and he's not useful because he ends up just being killed here. The soldiers put the drunk white guy and the woman in the corral to be eaten by the zombies in the cave. They can't find Miguel. They call the black guy a jungle bunny head, and there's the standoff because they want to force the black guy to use the helicopter and get them the hell out of there. And everyone pauses because they hear the elevator coming down so someone can get out of the base, and they don't know what the hell is going on. Miguel has gone up to save himself. And during the confusion, the black pilot ends up beating the captain down. Miguel messed the controls of the elevator so they can't get the elevator working again. So all the white people are trapped down in this bunker. And the drunk guy and the woman, they ran off into the tunnel to try to avoid the zombies. There might be an exit out that way, but they're not sure. But if they had just stayed by the corral, they would have both been killed. The black man, after he defeated the captain, runs into the tunnel to try to rescue them. Miguel, upstairs, opens up the gate for the zombies so the zombies can flood into the compound, and then he gets on the elevator and he dies. He's literally eaten alive as he lowers the elevator in order to kill everyone down below. He would rather kill all of humanity rather than just let these bad white people live. And the zombies, not all of them, but many of them are blacks, browns, non-whites. So we have this non-white violence. Miguel is this agent, this bringer of death on these terrible white men. So our interpretation of it could be that the white soldiers were in fact correct to not trust the brown guy or the crazy scientist, because the scientist didn't know anything about domesticating zombies, and this was a waste of time and a bullshit operation. And Miguel literally let in a horde of zombies to kill everyone, dying in the process to do so. So that is our interpretation. That's not what George Romero wants. That's not what George Romero is pushing, of course. And as the zombies are being lowered and descending on them, the captain abandons his men because, of course, our white male authority figure is in fact a coward. Our one intelligent zombie who was being taught by the doctor is upset upon seeing the dead body of Dr. Frankenstein. We have this montage of these white soldiers being torn apart, literally. This zombie has a gun and he is pursuing Steel. Steel is a fat, obnoxious white guy who's been like a second in command to the captain for the film, and he's shooting at Steel. Steel ends up shooting and killing himself. The test zombie is then pursuing the captain in this hallway, and he ends up hitting him a few times. The captain is crying like a little bitch and guns him down. Test zombie then salutes the captain as a horde of zombies eats him. Our survivors, the gay interracial couple and our woman, are running towards a helicopter. We cut then to a beach with the two meant to be gay men and white woman who had a non-white boyfriend being our survivors. This is who gets to remake Civilization. That's where we end there. The propaganda is perhaps not as intense as Land of the Dead, but it's definitely there. We're showing interracial relationships for the first time. We're showing implied to be gay couple. We're not quite there where George Romero is comfortable showing a gay couple on screen, but we're building towards that, right? We're not quite there. We haven't subverted the population enough to get there, but we're on our way. Boys, after this, we have a 20-year break in between zombie movies. Day of the Dead was 1985. We have Land of the Dead, 2005. 20 years have passed, but now we're finally here. 3 down, 3 to go. We have this entire small town that is populated entirely by zombies. We have some zombies here outside of a church. There's this little band of them in a gazebo. We have a black zombie working as a gas station attendant, and they're performing these tasks that they performed in their lives when they were humans. We have a few white people on the outskirts of town observing them with binoculars. They meet up with this armed convoy, and they're going over their battle plans. They are going to raid the town for supplies. Convoy moves in. We have a biker who has this tattered American flag. He literally kills a zombie with an American flag. This is very subtle. Convoy is also using fireworks. They're shooting these up in the air to distract the zombies. And right now, this is 2005, so America has invaded Iraq. War is ongoing, the war on terror. I believe we're using fireworks as a metaphor for government distractions. This is to trick the people because the zombies are attracted to the sight of the fireworks and the sound, so they're looking up. So the human raiders are mostly unmolested as they're stealing supplies. And can you really steal supplies? No one alive is in the town. They're taking it from stores and such that zombies aren't using. I don't think realistically this can be considered theft. But to George Romero, he does consider this to be theft, that we're robbing the zombies somehow, even though they're dead and aren't using these supplies. But the fireworks, I believe, are representing the media, the war, and how these are distracting the average people, meaning the zombies, from what's really going on, and these humans representing the government, or perhaps the white man coming in and robbing and stealing and also killing zombies, killing people. I believe we're supposed to consider the zombies to be the innocent party here, the victims of this attack, even though they are dead corpses that would eat and kill any human they came across. Somehow we're supposed to care about the zombies. Again, to us, average, normal person who isn't a psycho leftist, this is ridiculous, but to George Romero, yes, the zombies are the victims here. One of the young guys that's on the raid, he gets bit by a zombie. A cop zombie did it. Of course, we're continuing this theme, this motif of white zombies, especially cop zombies, being these harbingers of death. It comes up in nearly every film. The kid ends up killing himself rather than turn into a zombie and go through all that. We have Riley. Riley was the man who was observing the town. He is a blonde-haired white man, and he has a dull-witted guy with this screwed-up face that's sort of his assistant and helper, but Riley, so far as we've been presented, is a competent and capable white leader, which is shocking compared to the other films in this series. Will he be a good man? Will he not? What will his character arc be? We'll get to it. The black zombie who was working the gas station, he has a name tag on, and his name tag is Big Daddy, and he ends up stealing a gun from one of the raiders. The movie is going to be about zombie vengeance. This retaliation against these white raiders because the convoy moves on after they get some supplies, and the zombies are outraged at the destruction that's been inflicted on their town. This film does differ in its violence against whites and its propaganda. In earlier films, in the second film, we had a lot of non-white zombies attacking the white man, the government, as they attacked this housing project. White zombies in that film were to be mocked and humiliated. The third movie, we also had Miguel being this bringer of vengeance upon these white government men. How has this propaganda changed, and why has it changed? So, if you're a white person, you just walk in the movie theater, oh, a zombie movie, George Romero. I haven't seen any of his films, but I hear he's a big deal. I'll sit down and check it out. You would naturally be repulsed if you're not a far left by a movie that would show a bunch of black and non-white zombies attacking and eating the white people. And isn't this a good thing? Isn't that a good message? You as a white guy would be uncomfortable with that and wouldn't like that. So there had to be a change. And I think there's also a change because the old propaganda is maybe not as effective as it once was. What worked in 1968 and 1978 isn't working in the mid-2000s. So the zombies are more mixed race. They are led by a capable black male zombie, but the zombies itself as a group are definitely very diverse. There's a lot of white zombies mixed in, so this vengeance that's going to be inflicted upon humanity, mostly white humanity, but inflicted upon humanity, is a diverse group, so it's more confusing. It's less easy to just outright reject if you're just an average movie viewer. Another point I will bring up, there's Big Daddy. He is the leader of the zombie horde. There's also a unnamed white blonde cheerleader zombie, and she's dead, but she's attractive. I'm not a necrophiliac, but if she wasn't dead, and her face wasn't like screwed up because she's like a dead corpse, then yes, she's attractive. She also appears in almost every scene when we're focusing on the zombies. Why are we doing this? Why are we having the zombie in so many shots? It's to condone the violence being inflicted upon humans against white people. It's to put the audience at ease. White audience goers seeing this attractive blonde cheerleader zombie, cheerleader being very much a part of Americana. So her presence okays the violence. It makes it easier to swallow. It's more confusing, right? It would be a lot easier to attack a film if, like, look at all those black zombies and they're eating all the white people. But now it's this very mixed race, diverse group of zombies, and we have this attractive blonde zombie who's with them. So she's a part of this, what is supposed to be racial violence against whites, against humanity. But her presence is definitely intentional. John Leguizamo, he is a part of this movie. He is a raider along with Riley, but he is called Cholo in the movie, and he was the one that went on a dangerous raid that ended up getting that young white raider killed. But he's doing this because he really wants money, because they have basically a city all to themselves. It's mostly blocked off. They have a lot of military guys, and it seems well defended enough. And Cholo wants enough money to buy his own place in the very nice area part of this city. Riley says that's never going to happen. They will never let them in. So it's not just a matter of race, but it's also a matter of class. This is another attack on capitalism, which is probably true. The nice place being this high-end shopping area, and the area that they've managed to close off from themselves. It's like this little island in Philadelphia. They're protected by some blocked off bridges and some waterways. In the high-end shopping area, we have this little shot of some caged birds. So even though they're safe from the zombies, aren't they really in prison? I don't really see how. They're not dead. They're not running for their lives every second of every day. It seems okay in this area. It could be better, sure, definitely if you're in the lower classes. And yeah, I would support advocating for rights and for better living conditions, but yes, it's better than living outside with the fucking zombies. They also have this electric fence that they use to fry zombies. We have a Irish guy on the street who is basically supposed to be a communist. He says that the rich guy didn't build that place, the tower that the rich people live in. They just took it over. The Irish guy's talking about rising up, rallying the people together and class warfare. Riley wants a world with no fences. Oh, and as we had a American flag being used by that raider on a bike at the start of the film to kill a zombie, to kill an innocent zombie, we have an American flag near these basically communists that is not destroyed near them. Very subtle, George. Mr. Kaufman is the leader of this city. He lives in this super nice penthouse. He has a black servant. We're being more subtle with our propaganda, but yes, rich old white man, black servant, it's intentional. One of Mr. Kaufman's neighbors, this old white guy, killed himself. He turned into a zombie. Then he kills his own son. Cholo was there because he's supposed to meet Mr. Kaufman, but he helps kill these zombies. And then he's going to meet with Kaufman. There's this cringy and dumb area, like it's a fun zone where people are taking pictures with zombies that are chained up. It's retarded. There's paintball shooting zombies, gambling, cage dancers. They have zombies fight each other. But Riley is there because he wants a car, because he's going to take this car and get the hell out of this area. And he's questioning, well, zombies don't fight each other, so what's going on? So they throw in a live human woman for the zombies to fight each other for, and people are cheering as they are trying to eat this woman. Riley steps in and saves the woman by shooting the zombies. The guy that screwed him over by taking his car, the little mobster, his name is Chihuahua, which I thought was a little racist for George Romero. I'm a little shocked that they called him Chihuahua because he is Hispanic. But there's this shootout. Riley and his deformed friend and the girl are all arrested. They're thrown in jail. The girl reveals that she's a prostitute. Mr. K had her put in there to be eaten by zombies because she was involved with Mulligan, who is the Irish commie guy on the streets. The cops then drag in Mulligan a little later. Big Daddy, our black zombie leader, who is going to be bringing in this triumphant violence against humanity, is leading a force towards the city. They are angered to see upside down zombies with targets put on them, so humans have been using them as target practice. Oh, the humanity, or lack thereof. Kaufman is boring. We have opera music, a leatherback chair. He's smoking a cigar. He tells Cholo, when Cholo asks about getting his own place in this tower, that there's a limited space in the building. Cholo demands to be let in. He offers to blackmail Kaufman, and he gets escorted out. So, again, you're Kaufman. Cholo is a very good raider with a lot of experience who's killed a lot of people, humans and zombies alike for you. He takes out the trash for Mr. Kaufman, and we send one fat white security guard to escort Cholo out of the building. Does that make any goddamn sense to you? Like, really? Really, really, really? So Cholo, of course, ends up killing this guard in the stairwell, and once he kills the guy, he's speaking Spanish. So, yes, we also have a little racial element with Cholo. He's attacking his rich white male boss, And he's this Hispanic guy who, unlike Riley, the white man, was trying to play by the rich white man rules and was expecting to be rewarded and allowed to be in the penthouse, but that's never going to happen because he's not the right skin color and also the right class. Speaking Spanish is intentional as well. We have zombies at the gate of the city. You think they would have better defenses than just a single layer of this flimsy fence. We're not like at the city yet, but we're at like the border of the city. And Cholo and his little crew decide that they're going to escape in this truck. And it's not just a truck. It's like a super armored truck. It's the thing that was able to shoot the fireworks. So they're going to steal this and just get out of the city. Many humans are killed as zombies get in. He decides he's going to blackmail Mr. K. He wants $5 million. So the world is over. Like, there's maybe pockets of civilization here and there, small city-states, if you will, but the world is over at this point. We're in the apocalypse stage. Maybe we're in the post-apocalypse a little bit. We are edging towards that with civilization starting to take root, and he wants $5 million. Not guns, not food, not a bunch of cars, not like a plane, not gasoline, not ammunition. $5 million. What use will this money be? Of course, George Romero, not really caring about the logistics. This is about the social commentary. Yes? Where the fuck are you going to cash that money? Because it's not like you're going to be allowed back into the city once you have the $5 million. So now you have to find another city-state in which to spend it. And that other city-state, maybe they don't use currency at all, or the currency you have is worth nothing to them. Kay hires Riley to handle Cholo. Kay gets Riley out of jail here. 3 guards go with them. They also bring along the woman and the deformed guy. One of the guards is a Spanish bullfighter type of guy. They're all SWAT, but that's sort of his background. There's a fat guy who's a Samoan. And also just a seemingly normal woman. I think she's from Detroit. Set out to go find Cholo because Cholo is going to use the super truck to fire missiles at the city, and it'll kill a ton of people and like blow up the tower. So, and Mr. K also says that they don't negotiate with terrorists. More commentary on the war on terror. The Spanish guy is bit by this really bad CGI priest. That's one thing with the later 3 films in this series. They have some god-awful CGI at times. Yeah, the CGI priest zombie has its head barely on, like a sliver of its neck is keeping its head on, and it looks terrible. The Spanish guy ends up dying pretty fast. I thought there would be some type of clash here between the Spanish bullfighter guy representing traditional Spain and Cholo representing mestizo, Hispanic, Mexican, and there would be some type of clash there, and the Mexican would triumph over the Spanish man, but that does not occur. The Spanish man is just killed here. I suppose maybe by him dying first, there might be some play with that, but that's probably a stretch. Cholo says that Mr. K will pay or he'll do a jihad on his ass. Cholo leaves one of their guys, Mouse. Mouse literally does nothing. He's just waiting alone at this drop point where no one is going to come with money for him because Mr. K is going to pay, and he's just killed by zombies. Honestly, it wasn't really like relevant or necessary for Mouse to be here. Not that he takes up a lot of screen time, but he does nothing. He just dies. The horde of zombies, led by Big Daddy, they're at the edge of the water, and zombies don't swim, but Mr. Big Daddy jumps into the river, and as an example, he leads all the other zombies. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Really? The black zombie is swimming? All right, man. Like, my suspension of disbelief has totally been blown at this point. But to be fair, Big Daddy is not swimming, but he's walking on the bottom of the river. So I can kind of believe that. That's fine. So the zombies have bypassed the human defenses. They are now in the city. The camera is now on people on the street. We have the shot of lesbians kissing. We wouldn't show that 20 years ago with that implied homosexual relationship, but now we can show 2 women kissing each other. Right after the lesbians kiss each other, the zombies kill them. Is that based? Is George Romero secretly right-wing and super red-pilled that he killed these homosexuals the second they displayed their homosexuality? We might think that, but no. George Romero is showing the lesbians in a positive light, and the zombies are just killing everyone. Even though the zombies are complete victims at the hands of these human raiders, they are now just massacring the innocent people on the streets. These are people who, like the Irish communist guy, live in a pretty crappy situation with the super rich ruling over them and controlling housing and that type of thing. But who are we rooting for exactly? Because the zombies are also attacking these humans who are also victims, but we're supposed to feel bad for the zombies too? It doesn't make sense. It's sloppy, not very good propaganda. It's confused propaganda. There are too many things going on at once. Riley and the guys ended up reaching Cholo in the truck. They're able to disable the truck, but the city is still being destroyed. They're confused about what's going on. The zombies are just killing innocent poor people right now. Riley says they're taking the truck. They're going back to the city to defend it. Cholo and one of his other guys are just going to go on their own. Cholo still gets bit here. Will he return to save the city? The zombies have now reached the rich part of the city, and they're devouring those people as well. They still ate plenty of poor people. They're killing and eating the rich people. Oh, and the humans. So we had the electric fence before, which was very effective at frying zombies. Now people are trapped by their own electric fence. Very subtle. And they try to use fireworks to distract the zombies, and the fireworks aren't so effective anymore. The zombies are initially looking up at the fireworks in the sky, and then they start looking down and they lock eyes on the humans. Big Daddy is chasing the rich white man, Mr. K. He corners him while Mr. K is cowering in his car. He uses a gas pump like the start of the film, and he forces the pump through his windshield, and he's filling his car up with gas. Big Daddy isn't able to break into the car, so then he goes away for a moment. Then Cholo shows up, and Kay says, "Fucking spick bastard," and shoots Cholo the zombie. Cholo is killing him as Big Daddy rolls a flaming barrel down to the car and blows it up with fire. Mr. K was also bringing a shit ton of money with him, even though, the world has ended. They don't talk about going to another city-state. They just talk about fleeing the city to avoid Cholo using the truck to kill a bunch of people and going to some safe houses. But where exactly are you spending that money? And we have a bunch of burning money floating around and burning in the air. I guess the use of gas here to kill the rich white man because we invaded Iraq for oil and for gasoline, which is not true. That's very low IQ to perpetuate that bullshit. We invaded Iraq because Israel really wanted us to. That's why we invaded Iraq, because Israel is our greatest ally. And if you don't believe in that, this channel's not for you. All humans at the electric fence are now dead. The zombies have devoured all of them. Some humans have been saved. Riley ends up firing some missiles here and killing the zombies. And there are some humans left that are able to escape, but many of them have been killed by the zombies. We are allowed to have a white blonde male as our protagonist, and he is competent. That is quite a change. And the night ends. We cut to day. The commies are in control now. They're talking about rebuilding the society and making it more fair. Riley still wants to get out of here. The zombies, being led by Big Daddy, are retreating, and one of the guys asks Riley if they should shoot the zombies, and Riley says, "Don't shoot them. They're just looking for a place to go, same as us."
Oh. You're just looking for a place to go. Same as us.
They did just eat lots of their own people, like plenty of poor working class people trying to make ends meet, who had nothing to do with the raid on the zombies, but they still get killed all the same, and we're not willing to take vengeance for them. We're just, those zombies are basically like us, so whatever. And yes, we did get to see the white blonde cheerleader zombie many times, and still at the very end, it makes the violence more okay, right? She is not harmed. She's not dead. She and Big Daddy, they make it. Yeah, it just adds legitimacy to their movement. Well, if white people are doing it, then I guess it's, it's not as bad. You don't recoil as much if it was the other way around. I guess there's also some Mexican revenge on white. Even if white people are willing to use you and keep you around, you'll never be one of them, which I do agree with that take that we should have segregation, because it doesn't matter if there are individuals that are good and are beneficial to white society, they will still never belong and never quite be welcome because they're not us. So a lot of propaganda here about the war on terror, a bit about capitalism, a bit about violence and vengeance on people, even seemingly innocent people who we kind of want to root for, because the poor people are going to be the communist people, but it's okay that we killed a shit ton of them with the zombies. So that's a confused narrative. Look, ultimately, I don't want to be ruled over by billionaire technocrats who really don't like me and would like me to live in an Amazon shitbox and just work myself to death. I don't like those people. I don't want to live in a society like that. However, all societies have a hierarchy. People are inherently unequal. They're not the same. Some people are going to be smarter. Some people are going to be dumber. There is naturally going to be a inequality because humans are not equal. Very simple. So I don't want gay shit like stealing rich people's money, but I don't really like rich people if they're just making their wealth off of being landlords and stuff like that. I want people to be able to own their own property and not be taxed for it. And just for average working class people and such to be able to build their own little dynasties. Like if you're just a guy and you own a house, and if you just do well for yourself and then leave money behind for your children, and then your children can build upon what you've built upon, that's a good thing. That's not bad to have inherited wealth. I think it'd be ridiculous to say so. But is there a point when maybe that goes too far? Like all the rich people gather together and they're now using their collective wealth and power to dominate a society? Yeah, that can definitely go too far. And there should be a force there, a government force or whatever, to prevent that level of corruption and abuse that can be inflicted on people. But no, I'm not like street communism. No one should own any property, man. Yeah, fuck that. The back half of these 6 films are definitely worse in quality, and their propaganda just isn't quite as strong as the first 3. It's still there. The propaganda is still absolutely there, but it's less effective. Diary of the Dead. This came out in 2007. This is about some film students that are making a student film. They're in college, and as they're making the student film, the zombie outbreak happens. We're watching some footage of some police officers and an ambulance and EMT. They are outside some apartments. It's being filmed like a documentary. They're wheeling dead people out, and the dead people start to come alive. They bite a EMT. A reporter gets killed by some zombies. A bunch of amateur filmmakers are making a monster movie. And they're shooting this. A mummy is chasing a woman in the woods. And then we cut. We have the director. POV is a cameraman holding the camera. And people are speaking to our cameraman. Our female lead complains of having her dress torn, her breast exposed.
Stupid fucking mummy movie. With an underlying thread of social satire.
Cute. You're still a bad person, George. You still really hate white people, and I don't think you're self-aware because I believe you think you're the good guy in your films. They're watching the news and they see that, well, there are a lot of reported dead coming back to life and things just kind of seem crazy, but people are on the fence about if they believe it or not. Our cameraman returns to the college dorms to try to find his girlfriend. Our American flag on the wall here is bunched up. It's not proudly displayed, very subtle. Deb is his girlfriend. She is also the narrator of the film because we started the film with a narrator, a little voiceover. All the film students have gotten together. They are in an RV trying to just drive and get away from it all. They talk about government lies on the television. So that's a left-wing criticism of the government. That's also a right-wing criticism of the government. The government does lie on TV quite a bit. Both parties do. The cameraman is asking all the people in the RV, like who they are, why they're here, what do they want. We have Mary, the driver, who is alone, and she is a Christian. She has a St. Christopher medal. St. Christopher, I believe, is the patron saint of travelers or traveling. But at this point, people are still skeptical about the whole zombie thing, but the RV stops. There's a zombie state trooper. We're once again continuing the zombie cop motif, and the zombie state trooper attacks them. Mary cries after running over 3 zombies in the roads. She puts a St. Christopher necklace on. And then, after we stop the RV, Mary is very upset and alone because did she kill 3 people? Did she kill 3 zombies? She has in fact killed 3 zombies. And Mary is our only openly religious character in the film. She's a Christian, and George Romero has the Christian girl shoot herself in the head.
What did she do? It's me and St. Chris. I think we'll be calling on old St. Chris before this night's over.
This is very subversive. Our student crew and the teacher that's with them is all white, so I was wondering what George Romero was going to do. I was wondering what his vector of attack for his propaganda was going to be. So we're attacking this girl for being a Christian, and we're going so far as to make her kill herself. Not a Muslim girl, not a Jewish girl, not a Hindu, not a Buddhist, but it is going to be a Christian girl. Now, another director could perhaps pull this off, and it could be a very sad, tragic moment with a person who's a Christian, and in a moment of despair and madness, they commit suicide. But for George Romero, he really wants this white Christian girl to just kill herself, and it's not that deep. They end up bringing the dead girl to the hospital. They are killing some zombies here. The professor calls the filming a documentary of cruelty. Mary is a zombie now. I thought she'd kill some of the film students, but they just end up killing her. Gordo, one of the film students, is bit on exiting the hospital. They bury Mary. The Christian medal is put on her grave marker. Gordo is dead. This was the Texas blonde girl's boyfriend, so she ends up shooting him as he turns into a zombie. They have a problem with the RV. The Texas girl can fix it. They pulled into this old farm to work on the RV. We have an Amish farmer here who is deaf. I'm sure that this guy will be subversive. He ends up throwing some dynamite at some zombies and destroying them, so kind of based in Red Pilled. We have some footage that they're watching. There's some commentary about like filming and the internet and the media and whatever. Zombies are attacking the Amish barn. The Amish guy blocks off the back door to save them from the zombies getting in. He also helps save the Texas girl, but the Amish guy is bit by a zombie before they leave. I thought the film would be crueler to him. I was surprised because the Amish are very European. They're also extremely Christian. But I suppose we already had the Christian girl commit suicide, so we can afford to be nice to the Amish man and pretend that we're not really prejudiced against Christians. Not that I'm religious, but I do find it annoying. They need some gas, so they stop the RV. This black guy shows up with an M16, and there's this tense standoff between the film students and them, and the film students, only have a little pistol. But during the standoff, they are shot at by some third party. The black guys, they say like rednecks or some local people, implying that it's rednecks doing the shooting. They travel with the blacks to this warehouse. The blacks invited them to come along to safety. In this warehouse, it's basically a black militia, all black there. There's maybe 1 or 2 white people, but they have a bunch of supplies for themselves. The black man offers them gas for free, literally for nothing. When they ask the black guy why they stick around, he says for the first time in their lives, we got the power. Yeah, the zombie apocalypse is bad, but now finally the black man has a shot, and now we can take power. And now that we're in power and we have all these guns, we of course wouldn't inflict racial violence on white people. So white people, in their fear and distrust of non-whites, are completely delusional, thinking that the second blacks and non-whites gain power, they inflict violence and revenge against white people, because that never happened. They talk about the government changing the TV program, like editing it to make it seem like the zombie outbreak isn't as bad as it is, so to trick the population. Cameraman uses the blacks' internet to go online so he can edit footage and get hits, not to try to contact his own family. He's more concerned about putting this out there and making a name for himself. This is our main character. He keeps saying 72,000 hits, 72,000 hits, 72,000 hits. He also gets contact from two of the film people who left at the start. There was a guy and a girl. The guy said that he's going to his mansion to wait this stuff out. He invited them to go, but they said no. There's a little bit of a crisis here. The blacks say that one of their people had a bad heart and he died and they can't find him, so he's turned into a zombie and they don't know where they went. They do a search of the warehouse. They end up killing a random black guy by mistake who is not a zombie. The blacks ended up doing the shooting, and then one of the white guys uses some acid on the zombie, melts his head, and no one else dies. So the blacks give them all the gas that they want for free. Deb, who is the girlfriend of our main cameraman, our director, our filmer, won't leave until they get more supplies, like ammunition, food, that type of thing. The black man eventually, for literally nothing, decides to give them all the foods, weapons, and everything else that they ask for. I guess black people are just that nice. White people are not that nice in the film. The black guy wishes them some luck, and yeah, this black militia in the post-apocalypse is just super nice and friendly. The RV is back on the road. They're talking about media. There are so many voices now that it just makes noise. They make it to Deb's house. They're looking for her family. She decides she's going to stay at the house to wait for her family, even though no one's there. Everyone decides to come wait with her, except for the filmer. He's supposed to be like a toxic male, like an obsessed director that only cares about hits, and he doesn't love his girlfriend or love anyone. He's just more concerned about filming. It's a weak plot thread. It's not very strong, but that's what we're being given for our cameraman, who's bad. The not boyfriend is the one to comfort Deb and to get her to relax when it looks like her family is dead in the house, and he makes her focus on a childhood doll she had. She called the doll Michael like the archangel. But White Pill, I thought you said George Romero hated Christians. And yes, okay, Deb had a doll that she named after Michael the Archangel. That's Christian. However, that doesn't really compare to making a Christian girl put on a St. Christopher medallion and then blow her brains out. That's not, if we're putting things on a little scale, though, that doesn't balance out. Now, does it? They kill her little zombie brother. The guy with the camera just watches. He does not help at all. The mother is also a zombie and is shot. The camera guy tries to comfort her, and she isn't interested. He won't put the camera down to be next to her in the RV. They're driving at night next, and the National Guard ends up stopping their RV. They're all white men. One of the guys comes aboard. The guard wants the camera off. He points a gun at them. They rob them of all their supplies. White authority is bad. They left their weapons for them, but they've been totally robbed here. We have some footage of soldiers in an apartment. They burst past this elderly couple. The elderly couple was actually harboring zombies in their apartment. The zombies end up killing one of the soldiers that came in. They kill the old couple who was concealing the zombies. I'm sorry, but I'm on the soldier's side here. They got a man killed by not revealing they had zombies in their apartment. I get that the zombies were family members, but but don't get anyone fucking killed over your zombie bullshit, you know? Like, yeah, what am I supposed to think here? They make it to the mansion. There's classical music playing on entering. The camera guy makes them wait to enter to get a good shot and to redo it. Ridley, who was a rich guy, was in the panic room. His family, of course, aren't around. They're actually all zombies. The girl that was with him, too, he buried them in the pool. And it seems like Ridley was also bit as well. And Ridley turns into a zombie when it's Ridley, the camera guy, and the Texas girl. The camera guy is literally filming Ridley chase Texas in the woods, just like in the beginning of the film with the Mummy movie. She knocks out Ridley herself, and then she drives away all alone and takes the RV. The camera guy does not warn the others of the zombie, who then bites the other weak guy in the group. Jason, the name of the cameraman, won't go into the panic room and cut himself off from the world. He does agree to, but he's actually lying, and then Ridley, the zombie, gets him. Deb shoots him in the head. We cut to footage of a excited Jason. He's talking about recording the events. He's excited to be given this opportunity, and it's very disturbing that this guy was really pumped up and looking forward to the zombie apocalypse because he could make a name for himself online and get a bunch of hits. Deb says that she'll finish his movie. The zombies find the mansion and they start pouring in. Remaining survivors end up going into the panic room. We then cut to a bunch of rural whites shooting zombies for fun. Rednecks are still evil in this film. We have a woman tied by her hair to a tree. Who was this? I don't think she was anyone in particular. I think it's just to highlight that these are evil rednecks and we shouldn't like them. The zombie is crying a bloody tear. We have Deb's crappy voiceover. Are we worth saving? You tell me.
The boys had this one set up just for kicks. They got out their favorite 12 gauge and... Are we worth saving? You tell me.
At the meeting of the black group and the RV group, they're being shot at by rednecks, right? We don't see them, they're not on screen, but the blacks say that they're rednecks. The black guys on meeting them don't shoot at them, and in fact give them a bunch of supplies, and then later on, who steals their supplies? A bunch of bad white people, government white people at that. Isn't that just terrible? Armed black people are good, armed white people are bad. There's also some toxic masculinity and something about the media, and are we worth saving? Are we really just evil people? Well, the rednecks don't seem worth saving, they seem bad, but those black people just trying to make it for themselves, they seem good. I guess, they can be saved. And now we are on to the last of his film, Survival of the Dead. This came out in 2009, and it is by far the worst of the six. I would actually say, perhaps in terms of propaganda and such, it was definitely a decline in his propaganda. It's still here. The propaganda is still here, but it seems more muted. It seems weaker, kind of limp dick compared to how hard he was swinging it in the earlier films. But we'll just get into Survival of the Dead, 2009. Our protagonist is actually a white guy. Yes, he is actually the leader of the National Guard who robbed the RV in the last film. That's our protagonist. We have a scene with the guardsman and he has a dead buddy come back to life. We have some horrible CGI zombies doing some killing, footage of them robbing the RV. The guard is doing some narration here. He doesn't do a ton of it, but basically the same amount of narration as Deb in the last movie. We cut away to this setting in Plum Island, which is off the coast of Delaware. This is 6 days after the zombie outbreak happens. This old man is going around the island and he's killing all the dead people. He has a band of people with him. They go to this man's house because they have heard that his son is dead and became a zombie and infected the other children. They ask him, are you waiting for a miracle? He says they've been known to happen. The posse is here for the zombie kids. They killed the mother who pointed a gun at them. It's a tense situation. It's an ugly situation. But the mom did point a gun at them. I do believe them killing her was justified. They then give the husband a gun to shoot the wife as she turns into a zombie, and he cries as he kills his wife. I believe they are the Mulhoons. There's another rival family on the island that I'll cover in a minute, but the Mulhoons, the leader has a daughter. The daughter says that will help her dad in killing the zombie kids. The rival faction shows up and stops them from shooting the zombie children. They want to save the zombies if there's a cure. It's really dumb. Like, I get it. Like, maybe if you had someone that was just bitten and you had the cure, you could try putting the cure on them. But like a zombie and their organs are hanging out and they have all these horrible lacerations and, you know, they're super wounded, making them a non-zombie would just make them die immediately. Like, that wouldn't fix any of their fucking wounds. So this idea that we're going to keep the dead alive, and then who knows, maybe if you had someone who got bit and then you like froze them, then I could sort of believe it. Like, that's unrealistic, but it's more believable than, hey, that rotting corpse over there that, you know, we've just kept around for a couple years. I'm sure it's fine. There's not like insects eating it alive right now. That's not happening. But the daughter begs for mercy from the rival family, and they cast the dad out on a boat. A few of his followers decide to go along with them. The daughter is Janet. She will not go with her father. Suppose you could view this as a breakdown of the family, a betrayal, a unwillingness to follow her white patriarch. We cut to 3 weeks later. We have a National Guard guy. He is watching some bad talk show on a little monitor, and he is laughing at their terrible zombie jokes. We have this female soldier, this non-white soldier, fingering herself in this Jeep and moaning. She is called Tomboy. I don't know what she is exactly. She seems to be like a mulatto, or perhaps she's some version of Hispanic. She is doing this. She says it's too bad there's not another bitch in this litter, so she is a lesbian. So now, you know, we briefly showed a gay character in the fourth film. In the fifth film, we didn't have any gay characters, and now we have an open lesbian who is also not white. How we have progressed. For the little group of guardsmen, we have our leader who is kind of a bad white guy who is in it for himself. He's competent, but he's not like morally a good person. We have a dumb white guy who is more of a follower and not very bright, but he's not terrible. We have a Mexican man who seems to be a good guy, and then we have our mixed race lesbian. That's our group of four. The rednecks out in the woods were quote unquote having fun, and they were putting zombie heads on spikes. They're still alive and they're like blinking their eyes and such. All of the heads on spikes are in fact black. The rednecks end up reaching for their guns, and the guardsmen kill them all. This young white guy then walks out. He was only riding with them, and they decide to bring this young guy with them. So I think in an earlier movie, we would perhaps have a bigger scene played out with all of these black heads on spikes and these white guys did it. But frankly, let's say the white guys didn't reach for their guns. And what's the crime here exactly? They cut off some zombies' heads. I guess maybe if you're trying to make the argument that they came across a group of black survivors and just murdered them and then they turned into zombies and they're just torturing them, that's different. But how dare you torture a zombie? What the fuck? It doesn't feel anything. You know, like it dumb, like not very good or compelling propaganda. They find an armored car with lots of cash in it, even though, like, okay, I can sort of get it. Like, hypothetically, the world comes back online and the U.S. government is in power again. It'd be nice to have a big stack of money, but the government could just, like, declare new currency. Yeah, it's whatever here. And online, the guy who was exiled from his island is inviting people to go to Plum Island and preaching it to be this sanctuary for people to live safely. So the guardsmen, with nothing better to do, decide to head towards it. There's a lot of weird slapstick in this film. Like, you have an Asian fisherman who fishes up zombies, and he is killed, but it's just odd. The guy who was exiled is called the captain. Guardsmen, they arrive in the armored car. It turns out that he will give them a boat to go to the island, but he wants to shake them down for all that they have. And the only way to drive out of here is mined, so they can't do that. And now zombies are approaching, so they're in a very bad position. I thought the captain was going to try to recruit men to take the island by force, but it's not like that at all. He's just running this little grift operation, which is whatever. It just seems a bit like worse. We have a white zombie cop. They shoot this zombie cop. Oh, and they decide that they're going to get a ferry and put the armored car on a ferry and then go to the island. So the Mexican guy ends up swimming for the ferry. He ends up swallowing some zombie blood in the water. And then we have this horrible CGI of him killing a zombie with a fire extinguisher. It looks so bad. All the captain's men were killed by zombies, so the captain is the only one to barely make it onto the ferry. And the guardsmen and the captain included are now heading towards Plum Island. Captain says that the lesbian reminds him of his daughter. She replies, "Something for the both of us to look forward to." She asks if he has a problem with her being a ... He says no. So our white patriarch is not worried about his daughter marrying well. There's no responsibility here. There's no duty to protecting your family and your family tree. Because what's supposed to be some more traditional kind of working class white people on this island that have strong family values. Of course, this guy doesn't have an issue with homosexuals in the slightest. I don't know if he's saying directly that his daughter is a lesbian, but he's not saying that my daughter isn't a lesbian, so like go ahead and try to corrupt her or to seduce her. He doesn't have much of a backbone here, right? They get to the islands, they go to his farm, and they find a bunch of zombies chained up and doing these small tasks. They are being shot at. The lesbian ends up killing the guy shooting at them. The dumb white guy is the first to be killed. Also, the man sees his daughter riding on a horse here. She is riding a black horse, like a omen of death. It seems like she's just a zombie riding on a horse on the island, and this doesn't make sense. There's a reveal later on where this absolutely doesn't fucking work, but for now, the captain just talks about his own property being full of dead zombies, so he kills a few as he goes off to try to recruit some of his own people that were left on the island. They also see that the captain, while he was robbing people, he also did actually send them to Plum Island where he legitimately thought they would be safe. But all of the people that he sent to the island have been killed, and yet the zombies on the island are being spared. We have some country music. The other patriarch on the island has no problem killing zombies at times, but they keep some in a stable, killing those that don't show promise, that can't be domesticated or tamed. Also, no issue if the people killed aren't kin. So they're willing to massacre anyone who comes to the island if they're not somehow related to the family. They also talk about trying to find a zombie that can show better promise, that's just more intelligent. They want to grab the other guy's dead daughter because she's riding a horse. She just seems brighter than the other zombies. They were trying to make some zombies like eat a chicken, but they're just not interested. When the guardsmen are talking, one of them says that small towns give birth to small persons. Well, honestly, small town life sounds kind of appealing to me. I would kind of like that. Of course, you have to go to a big city and experience diversity to have a good life. You know, why would you want to be in a high-trust, homogenous society? That just doesn't make any sense. The Mexican guy just keeps getting sicker, and then he goes off to kill himself. The lesbian Mercy kills him. People from the other side of the island, while they were looking for the dead zombie girl, kidnapped the lesbian. Then we have the other patriarch. He is feeding the lesbian dinner at his house, says that women and children have their place in the family because she asked if his wife was going to join them. His wife does not join them. The wife is a zombie, in fact, chained up in the kitchen. Says that he's only doing what God commands, the Lord's bidding. So he's a Christian and he's a little crazy, and all of these white men are kind of bad people. They lasso the zombie woman. She is in fact truly dead. I thought maybe she was pretending to be dead at first, just to sneak around the island without drawing attention to herself. The zombie woman is almost speaking to him. Oh, and then we cut to the guardsman's hideout at the farmhouse, and the captain of the guard, he was shot, so he's wounded. And the young guy that they freed from the redneck people, the zombie woman is speaking to him. It turns out there's two of these women, and this one is alive. There's twin girls. Do you think maybe it's a little odd that our white patriarch on the island, who knows his daughter very well, would not have brought up the fact that he has twin daughters? And that perhaps the dead woman on the horse could be one daughter, and oh yeah, I actually have another daughter, but it's just a bad little reveal that's not very interesting or good, that there's two of them. She admonishes her father, says that her father was never a proper dad. The young white guy's interested in her. The guard tells the kid to avoid the fight because there's going to be a confrontation between their side of the island versus the side of the island that's trying to keep the zombies alive. They have to go rescue the brown lesbian. She is chained up. Zombies are at the ready to eat her if they decide to shoot. They all lay down their guns for her and walk across. This is just retarded. Okay, the enemy faction has one of your soldiers, right? Maybe she just dies because in this situation, you really can't sacrifice your entire fucking fighting force for a single soldier. It doesn't make sense. It's really stupid, but they do surrender for the brown lesbian. They have Patrick's dead girl in the corral. They want her to eat the horse. They think that she might do it if she gets hungry enough, and he really just wants Patrick to admit that he is in fact right and Patrick is wrong if she eats the horse, and that'll be that. They're just trying to prove that zombies can eat something besides human flesh. The young white man who didn't go to the non-battle finds the living daughter, offers her $1 million, and is trying to run away with her. She comes back and is given their side all their guns by sneaking around. One of the guys, Chuck, who is like a second in command to the zombie saving side, is gunned down by their leader when he tries to switch sides. The girl goes over to her dead sister. The zombie bites her hand, and then a shootout begins. Chuck, as he is dying, shoots the lock to let all the zombies out. Humans are killing each other as they are also being eaten. Patrick tried to meet him halfway and to just come to peace because he just wants to be with his daughter who is dying, and he turns his back on Muldoon, and Muldoon then shoots him in the back, and the dying Patrick then kills Muldoon. So everyone's running away. The zombie sister actually bites her horse. The daughter, who is still alive, tries to tell the National Guardsman about her sister because she just saw this, and Patrick kills the daughter, thinking that this is a mercy because she's going to turn into a zombie. So the Guardsmen don't know that zombies maybe have the capacity to eat other flesh. Which, why would that fucking matter? That just means that zombies have expanded their diets. Maybe they have a very strong preference for human flesh. Okay, they sometimes maybe eat horses. They probably like humans just as much. And then Patrick dies after killing his daughter. They take the money and they flee. They question if Muldoon was right. Guess we'll never know now. Zombies are eating the horse, and there's some little bullshit commentary about war or whatever. He says something like a person puts up one flag and then another person puts up a different flag. They forget why it all began. We have the two zombie white patriarchs facing each other with pistols, and this is the last shot. This is the last film, and it's by far the worst. I thought it would play out differently with the daughter, like she would become a love interest for the brown lesbian or such. It would be sexual humiliation for the young white male stand-in. But that did not happen. The film lacks sexuality overall. The most we get is from the homosexual non-white woman masturbating. White fertility is still killed in this film. Literally, they will not plant seeds. The older guardsman and the young white man will not plant seeds with the so-called tomboy who is a lesbian, so they will not continue the human race with her. Dawn of the Dead had a pregnant white woman escape at the end, but she's escaping with a black man. But here, it's nothing. There's no possibility. But here, there's not that. There is, in fact, a 7th film that might release soon. This was completed after George Romero's death, which is a good thing. I'm glad he's dead. He's a piece of shit. I might review it once I can pirate it, but I might not. But some of my thoughts on his propaganda. He really hated white people. He had gripes with capitalism. I have some gripes with capitalism. He had gripes with law enforcement. I'm not super cop in every situation, but in a lot of situations, yeah, I am like pro-cop. He really likes black people. He likes feminism. He thinks abortion is cool. He's not big on white fertility or white children. That's kind of a meh for George Romero. He doesn't like that. His propaganda is not subtle or good. His films simply got worse as it went on. I would say the last film has the least amount of propaganda overall. Perhaps the 2 last films have the least amount of propaganda, but they're also just not very good movies. And just watching his earlier films, you can't ignore the racial politics at play. You can't ignore the social commentary. And if you're not a very far leftist, there's really nothing in these films for you. These are just nasty pieces of work, and they're as hateful towards white people being made as today. They're not worth watching. Hopefully you maybe found some of this entertaining and did not watch these films, but I don't really have anything else to say. Do I think any of his movies are really good? Not really, just the propaganda is too thick. You can't just judge these films and ignore all these elements in them. You simply can't. They are baked in, they are a part of his movies. So I don't like that he's like a big name with horror movies or for zombies when this is the guy. He's if these were coming out today, there would definitely be a more like strong, prevalent right-wing response to his movies and to George Romero overall. I think because it's just older, and it's just sort of hand-waved away like, oh yeah, there was like propaganda back then, but it's like, this is some really nasty shit, right? The second film in particular is very, very nasty towards whites, and the other movies are too. It's not subtle. I have some other movie reviews on the channel. I would recommend checking out the Pusher trilogy. Those are a great human approach to crime in Copenhagen, focusing on drug dealers and sort of the bottom dregs of the criminal underworld. I've reviewed a couple other things recently. I bitched about the director of Pusher. His later works are much worse, so I had a video where I was ranting about his films like Drive, Neon Demon, Only God Forgives, Bronson. Those all suck. And there are other films on the channel with a variety of topics. We're a little eclectic, but if you like the video, you could like. If you're not subscribed, you can subscribe. I don't know what there's to comments about. Like, actually, these films are super based and red-pilled. Okay. He showed gay people and then he had those gay people die. I guess that is a little red-pilled. So, yeah, there's that, George. That is going to be it for me. Thank you for watching. White Pill Media out.
Don't leave me here alone! Not without anyone to hate!